guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I think is going to be a really fun one. This is sort of a tag video. So I recently saw Shelby Wilson, who I feel like I talk about a lot because I absolutely have been loving her channel lately, but she recently did a video called If I Had to Buy All My Makeup All Over Again. And I love these type of videos. I think they're so fun. I've seen these kind of floating around on and off over the last couple of years. Maybe name something differently, like if all of my makeup was stolen or if I had to start over. But I think you get the gist of it. Basically, if a thief came in the night and stole all of my makeup, what would I go out and repurchase? I started thinking, if this truly happened, I know this is kind of very ridiculous because I don't think this is very likely to ever happen, but if by chance it did, if I truly was left with no makeup and I had to buy everything at once, I would buy drugstore because honestly, budget is something that's a huge consideration for me. I think to some extent, budget is a consideration for all of us, but especially if I am buying all of my makeup at one time, if I need to buy everything at once, I can't buy it at Sephora. I just can't. It takes me a while to save up for those high-end purchases. So I really took that into consideration when doing this video today. So this is going to be a drugstore edition of if I had to start all over, if I had to buy my makeup all over again, what would I purchase? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean these are all my holy grails or my favorite products. Some of these things I think deserve a little bit of an explanation, which we will get into in this video, but I hope that you guys are excited about this one. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you will stick around, hit the subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And with that said, let's get into the makeup that I would start over with, or something like that. So we're going to kind of go in the order that I would apply my makeup. And the very first thing that I would purchase is a foundation. Now, believe it or not, this is not necessarily my favorite drugstore foundation, but in my opinion, it's one that I really love that I think is a little bit more versatile than others, and it is the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation. I have a lot of favorite drugstore foundations, including the new L'Oreal Fresh Wear foundation. I love that one for its longevity. I love the Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation for its glow and its luminosity, but this one I feel like covers all of those things. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes I don't want my foundation to look glowy. Sometimes I want something that's going to be a little bit long wearing, but it's not going to be dry. I feel like this is kind of right in between those two foundation finishes. I find this to be pretty long wearing on me. It is full coverage, but it's also creamy enough that I can kind of sheer it out either with a little bit of moisturizer or just by going in with a light hand. I think it's very comfortable. It's not drying on my skin at all. This is just a great like middle of the road foundation. It's versatile, has good coverage, but if I want it to be sheer, it can be. It's kind of a chameleon sort of foundation. That's what I would say this thing is. It's just a really good one from the drugstore. I've been using this for years. This is one of my most repurchased drugstore foundations. Actually, there's a fun fact, which I have a lot of foundations. I don't repurchase foundations super often, but this is one that I've been buying for a couple of years and I continue to buy because it's kind of a staple in my collection. So this would be the one that I would buy first. It's also affordable. I think this is under $10 if you buy it at Walmart. Moving on to concealer, I would definitely have to pick the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. Me and this concealer are kind of having a little bit of a moment right now. I've just been reaching for this constantly. I love this stuff. It really works well for what I need a concealer to do. This does everything that I need a concealer to do. It's a very multi-purpose concealer. It works well under my eyes. I use this on my eyelids. I can use it on my blemishes. I can use it on hyperpigmentation. I love the undertone of this. It's perfect for my skin tone. It has just a touch of yellow in it, but it's not too yellow if you know what I mean. Love this stuff. I just think it's a fantastic concealer. It's also super affordable. I believe this is somewhere around the $5 mark, and I really love it, and for that reason, this is probably the one that I would pick. Moving on to bronzer. The bronzer that I could not live without would be this thing right here. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I know you guys have all heard of this thing at least a million times here on YouTube, but here's the thing. This is definitely not the most affordable bronzer at the drugstore, but I am telling you guys, I have owned this bronzer for about 3.5 years now. And it's still going strong. And this is not a bronzer that just sits in my drawer all the time. This is one that I continually reach for time and again. I mean, I don't reach for it every day. I have a lot of bronzers, but I reach for this very regularly. And when I reach for this, I kind of go crazy with this. I mean, I really dig my brush into this thing. It's really firmly pressed. It's not very powdery. So partly for that reason, I feel like it lasts a long time. And honestly, I just feel like there just must be so much product in here because I barely am making a dent in here, and I've been using this thing for 3 years, so I think it's worth the slightly higher price tag. It works so beautifully on my skin. I love the finish of this. This is like a matte with a hint of a glow, but it's not shimmery. It just looks beautiful on the skin. It almost looks like a cream on the skin, but it applies so easily. Mine is in the color Light. This is the light bronzer shade, which I actually like best. I think this works for me all year long. It's fantastic. There's a reason that people just continually talk about this thing year after year after year, because it really is that good. Moving on to blush. I instantly knew which blush I was going to pick as soon as I started going through the different categories, and I didn't feel that way with all of these. A lot of these I kind of like hummed and hawed over, oh, this one or this one, which one would I pick over the other one? This one I knew instantly, and the reason for that is because this is probably the biggest bang for a buck kind of product in my entire makeup collection, and it's this right here. This is the Essence Satin Touch blush. This one is in the color Satin Love. I know I've talked about this blush before. I think I talked about it around the end of the year. I kind of was raving about this in like my year-end favorites, but truly guys, this is such a beautiful blush formula. This rivals like Max Melba, which is one of my all-time favorite blushes, or even the Bare Minerals blushes. The formula of this is fantastic. It lasts as well as any other blush lasts on my skin, and the color is, if you have medium to fair skin, I just think this color is that perfect, kind of goes with anything, don't have to think about it kind of color. This is definitely the blush that I would purchase. I do think though, if you have a deep skin tone or even like a medium deep skin tone, this probably will not show up very much on your skin. And unfortunately, they do only have 2 different shades of this, both of which are relatively light. So Essence, if you come across this video, which I'm sure you won't, but I'm going to put it out there into the universe anyways, please come out with more shades of these. And don't discontinue them like you tend to do with so many of your makeup products. I love Essence, but man, they discontinue things tragically so quickly. But I can't say enough good things about this blush. And did I not mention this thing is about $2 or $3 from Ulta? Amazing that they can make a blush this good for that price. As for highlighter, this one was a little bit trickier. I had kind of 3 that were in the running, and I'm going to give you guys kind of the runners up first. One of those is the Essence Pure Nude highlighter. I actually haven't reached for that highlighter for a little while, but that is definitely one of my favorite highlighters. It's one of those highlighters that's very easy to use. It's just, you can't overdo it with that highlighter. Even if you go in with a heavy hand, it just sits really beautifully on the skin. It's very subtle, but you can build it up in a way that's not overly like, wow, look at all this texture on my face. It looks somewhat natural still. Beautiful highlighter. I do really love that one. But honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I could not live without this highlighter right here. This is ColourPop's Flexitarian. A second runner-up to that one would be Smoke and Whistles, also by ColourPop. Let me swatch both of these for you guys. So the reason that I picked Flexitarian is because, number one, this is definitely the one that I use the very most. And the reason for that is because this is a very multi-purpose product for me. I use this on my inner corner very often, almost on a daily basis. I do use it as a highlighter quite often. So there it is right here. Let me also swatch Smoke and Whistles for you guys so you can kind of see the difference. So this is Smoke and Whistles. You can see it's not quite as intense. It's not quite as reflective. It kind of does look just as intense. I promise in person it's not. It doesn't have the intense reflective kind of iciness that Flexitarian has. If you are someone that likes a little bit more subtlety, I think Smoke and Whistles would be the one. But here's the thing I love about Flexitarian. It can be super intense, but if you shear it out a little bit, you can get a much more kind of soft, wearable kind of highlight from this thing. I do still think if you have a lot of texture on your skin, if you're very sensitive to texture and highlighters emphasizing texture, this one I think probably can emphasize texture a little bit because it is so intense. But I love the formula of these. They apply well with a finger, they apply well with a sponge, they apply well with a brush. This is one that I definitely could not live without, and I would go and repurchase right away. So moving on to eyeshadow. This is one that I knew was going to be difficult for me. You guys know how much I love my eyeshadow palettes. I mean, honestly, if someone stole all of my eyeshadow palettes, I would cry for days, and that's not being dramatic. I almost think like it would be difficult for me to get out of bed and go purchase an eyeshadow palette because I would be so distraught. That might have been a little dramatic. If all of my eyeshadow palettes suddenly disappeared, or if I woke up one morning and realized it was all a dream, I never owned that many eyeshadow palettes in the first place, the one that I would have to repurchase would have to be ColourPop's Dream Street palette. I do have a couple of runners up that I'm going to share with you guys because there were a couple that were in the running. This is the one that I would prefer over all of them though, because this palette to me gives me everything that I absolutely need. I need a good bronze. I need some good transition shades. I like a little bit of warmth, but also a little bit of neutral. And I also love that this includes not just this fun red, but also the greens in here, which I don't use all the time, but I love that they're in there for a little bit of variety and versatility if I want to get creative. The formula of this is amazing. I just love everything about this palette. I know I've talked a lot about it before here on my channel, but truly one of my all-time favorite palettes. It is still quite affordable. This would be one that I would definitely not want to live without. However, I did have a couple of runners-up. One of those was the Milani Bold Obsessions palettes. I also love those palettes from the drugstore, but for some reason, I know that these are close to the same price as the Milani palettes, but for some reason, I feel like the Milani ones are more expensive than these ones, even though the price difference is very minimal. This one, I think the color story of this one is just a little bit more me than the Milani Bold Obsessions, but that is a good one as well. But if I am being very, very price conscious, if we are adding up all these makeup items, because even though they're drugstore, they still add up to be quite a bit of money. If I'm really struggling to splurge for a $15 eyeshadow palette, I'd probably go with this one to get me by. This is the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air. This palette you can find for under $5, and honestly, this is a great palette. I hate their packaging, but the eyeshadows inside here are really, really nice. You get a warm and a cool tone transition shade. You get a nice, this is almost a bronze. It's slightly more of a gold, which I actually don't mind. I like that this can be kind of a bronze if you combine it with the brown, or it can be like an inner corner kind of gold shade. You get some warm browns in here. You get some cool browns. You get this kind of almost like a coppery sort of bronzy brown color. It has almost like a little bit of purple to it. You also get this bold pink, which is super, super fun. This is a really good versatile palette that's going to give you a lot of variety for $5. Probably one of the better Wet n Wild palettes in this color story, as long as you're not opposed to warm tones. If you are opposed to warm tones, go with the Nude Awakening palette, because that one's also very good, but it's going to be, I don't think it gives you as much variety. It's going to give you kind of like one or two different eyeshadow looks that you can do. This one's going to give you a little bit more variety in my opinion, and definitely super affordable and performs really well. As for my eyebrows, if you've watched at least 3 of my other videos, you probably can already guess what I'm going to say. It is the e.l.f. eyebrow pencil. I know I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is one of the 2 most repurchased makeup items of all time for me. The second one we'll get to in a minute, and you probably can guess that one as well. But truly, this is just an easy eyebrow pencil for me. It doesn't give me the most precise eyebrows in the world. It doesn't give me the most perfect, nicely drawn individual hair kind of eyebrows in the world. But honestly, guys, I'm not that great at doing my eyebrows anyways. This just does a very good basic job, but it is so extremely affordable. You can get this for $2 at Walmart. Love this stuff. I have probably 6 or 7 of these floating around, because if I'm ever running low, I will buy 4 at a time, because I do love it that much. It's not even necessarily that I love it that much. I use it that much. I can't be without this thing. It may not be the best eyebrow product out there, but if you are someone that is not super fussy about your brows, you just want something that's going to be quick and get the job done and do it for less than 6 chicken nuggets from McDonald's, this is going to do that for you. So moving on to my other most purchased makeup product ever of all time that I could not live without for a single day, it would be the Wet n Wild eyeliner pencil. I talk about this thing all the time. Now, this is not the most incredible, gonna knock your socks off kind of eyeliner in the world. The main reason I love this thing is I've been using it for so long. I almost feel like this is like my 6th finger. We know each other so well. I know how to work with this pencil. I've been using it forever. And to be perfectly honest, I don't even think I would have to repurchase this, because if a thief came in the night and stole all of my makeup, this is the one thing that I have these floating around everywhere. I have one in my multiple bathrooms. I have them in my car. I have them in my purse. I have so many of these because they're one of those things that I just can't live without. If I'm on the run and I want to define my eyes just a little bit, but I don't have mascara with me, I'll pop a little bit of this on my waterline, and boom, I have a little bit of definition to my eyes. This is just a fail-safe for me. I can't live without this thing, and honestly, at 99 cents, it's practically free. So to finish off the eyes, mascara. Now, when it comes to a drugstore mascara, if I'm buying all this makeup at once, I'm going to go with something that I know works well but is also super affordable, so I would definitely pick the Essence Volume Stylist Mascara. This is one of my all-time favorite mascaras. I love the volume and length. This gives you incredible length. It gives you good volume, but it gives you incredible length. It's also very budge proof. This is actually really difficult to remove, so if that's a problem for you, you probably would not like this mascara, but I love that this lasts so well on my eyelashes. It doesn't flake on me, it doesn't smudge. It's $5, which is super affordable for a good mascara. And again, this is one of those products, I think this is my 3rd tube of this, which I don't repurchase the same mascara super often, but this is one of the few that I feel like I always have on hand. And when this bottle dries out or runs out or is stolen, I will definitely buy a backup of this. So the last 2 items are for my lips. If I could only have one lip combination ever, I would definitely pick this combination right here. First off is the NYX Butter Gloss in the color Creme Brulee. I feel like everyone talks about this color, but honestly, this is one of those colors that I feel like if you have medium to fair skin, this is going to look good on you with any makeup look, on top of any lipstick if you happen to have a lipstick that wasn't stolen, which I don't because we're in that situation. But this is still beautiful on its own. It's beautiful combined with other things. It has a good amount of color, but it also has a touch of sheerness to it that you can put on top of other things. But to take this lip gloss to the next level, especially if you're a little bit older or if you have small lips and you want them to appear a little bit more full, I would combine this with this thing. This is the Milani lip pencil in the color 03 Nude. This is very possibly my favorite lip gloss of all time, my most used lip gloss of all time. Pencil, not lip gloss. No, Mandy. It truly is like the color of my lips, but better. It's just a hair deeper than my natural lip color. It goes with any lip gloss. It goes with any lipstick. And I just feel like adding this after my lip gloss, just right here on the underside and a little bit right up here, makes the biggest difference. It really does. And I think especially if you are someone like me, if you have smaller lips and or you're a little bit older, maybe you're getting some lines around your lips or your lips are kind of shrinking. Does that happen? I kind of feel like it happens, right? As you get older, your lips shrivel, shrink. Ugh, no one loves to hear that, but it does happen. Your lips, they lose their fullness as you get a little bit older, and I feel like having a good lip liner on hand makes a world of difference. Let me tell you guys something. I did not know this, how much I needed a lip liner until I started filming YouTube videos, and I noticed the hugest difference when I use a lip liner and when I do not. Not to say that I always do, but it definitely helps give you a little bit more like fullness to your lips. And that is it, you guys. That is all the makeup I would repurchase. If I had to start all over, if I lost all my makeup, if everything was stolen, these are the things that I would go out that very day and purchase because I couldn't live without them. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Please let me know down below. Let me know one product that you could not live without. If you were in a similar situation, what is one thing that you would go out and repurchase immediately? Let me know in the comments below. I think it'd be really fun to hear those answers. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe before you leave, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye. Thought I saw movement in the window well outside. It was actually my reflection. Woo. It does everything and doesn't do the things that I think some concealers don't do. That was a terrible sentence, Mandy. Edit that out, because we all know how that goes. You go onto ColourPop's website, you gotta buy $30 worth of stuff, and once you get to 30, you might as well spend 70. Am I the only one that this happens to? Every time. To the... Jeez, Mandy, come on. That is everything that I would repurchase if I had to... What was the name of... Dang it.